Hey guys, tonight we are diving into the story of someone you've probably heard of, but maybe in a big boss level video game kind of way. We're talking about Michael the Archangel, but we're not starting with the epic end of the world level boss fights just yet. We're starting in a much quieter, more intense place. We're starting with a vision. Imagine this: you've been fasting. Not just skipping lunch, but really fasting for 3 whole weeks. No comfort food, no rich bread, no wine, not even a bit of oil to make your skin feel less like sandpaper. You're doing this because you're heartbroken about the state of your people, and you're desperate for an answer from heaven. You're sitting by a massive, rushing river, the kind of river that sounds like a constant, low roar. The air is thick and heavy. And then you look up, and there's someone standing there. Someone whose body glows like a precious gem, whose clothes are made of the purest white linen, belted with the kind of gold you only see in a king's treasury. His face isn't just bright. His face is lightning. His eyes aren't just sharp, they are blazing torches. His arms and legs don't just look strong, they look like burnished bronze, glowing hot. And when he speaks, it's not one voice. It's the sound of 1,000 people talking at once. A roar that vibrates in your bones. Let's be real for a second. If you or I saw that, we would not be okay. Our brains would simply check out. You probably won't survive this kind of encounter without a complete system reboot. And that's pretty much what happens to the guy in our story. So before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe. But only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. And hey, I always love to see where everyone is listening from. It's kind of cool to think about us all winding down together all over the world. Go ahead and post your location and what time it is for you in the comments. Now dim the lights. Maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum. And let's ease into tonight's journey together. Part 1. Our story tonight begins with a man who was, to put it mildly, going through it. His name was Daniel. And Daniel was old now. He wasn't the young, sharp-witted kid who could interpret a king's crazy dreams about statues and trees. He was a seasoned statesman, a survivor of multiple kings, empires, and at least one very grumpy lion's den. He had seen empires rise and fall, and he had served them all with integrity. But his heart was always with his own people, the Jewish exiles living in Babylon. And right now, his heart was heavy. He had been given a vision, a glimpse into the future, and it was a lot. It was overwhelming, full of conflict and struggle for his people. It wasn't the "and they all lived happily ever after" message he had been hopping for. So, Daniel did what he always did when he was at a total loss. He turned to God. And he didn't just say a quick, "Hey, what's up?" prayer. He went into full-on mourning. For 21 solid days, 3 whole weeks, he fasted. The Bible says he ate no pleasant bread. This wasn't just, "Oh, I'll skip dessert." This was the hard stuff. Think of the most basic, unadorned, survival-level food. That's what he was living on. No meat, no wine, which was a normal part of a meal, a source of joy and relaxation. didn't even anoint himself, which in that hot, dry climate wasn't a luxury. It was basic hygiene. Not using ointment, he was willingly walking around feeling cracked, dry, and uncomfortable. A constant physical reminder of his internal grief. He was tired. He was physically weak. He was emotionally drained. And he was just waiting for an answer, waiting for clarity, waiting for a little bit of comfort. On the 24th day of this marathon of mourning, he found himself by the banks of the great river Tigris. This isn't a quaint little stream. The Tigris is a powerhouse, one of the two great rivers of the ancient world. It's wide, fast, and loud. He wasn't alone. There were some other men with him. Maybe they were companions, maybe guards. We don't know. But they were there. And that's when it happened. Daniel lifted his eyes. Maybe he was just staring at the muddy water, lost in thought, and something made him look up. And he saw him. Let's just pause here. We have to try and wrap our minds around this. We read a certain man clothed in linen, and we picture a guy in a white toga. No, we need to throw that image out. This was not just a man. This was something else entirely. The linen was dazzlingly white, purer than any cloth washed on earth. And around his waist, a belt of the finest gold. Not just gold-plated, but pure, heavy, gleaming gold from Paz, a place famous for having the best. This being wasn't just dressed. He was robed in purity and girded with royalty. Then his body. It was like beryl. Beryl is a gemstone. Sometimes it's blue-green, like an aquamarine. Sometimes it's golden, like a heliodor. It's a stone known for its clear, transparent light. His very substance seemed to be made of translucent, glowing gem. Not flesh and bone, but solid light. His face, as the appearance of lightning. This is the part that fries our circuits. How do you look at a face that is a lightning strike? It's not bright like lightning. It is lightning. A constant, flickering, terrifyingly powerful flash of raw energy. You couldn't make out features, not really. You would just perceive power. Unimaginable, instantaneous power, captured in the shape of a face. His eyes as lamps of fire, or torches. Not a warm, cozy fireplace. Think of a forge. Think of two blazing furnaces, deep and penetrating, that didn't just see Daniel, but seemed to burn right through him, seeing everything he was, everything he feared, everything he'd ever been. Eyes that held the secrets of celestial fire. His arms and his feet, like in color to polished bronze. Again, not just bronze-colored skin. This was the gleam of metal that had been heated in a fire and polished until it was blinding. It spoke of strength, of immovability, of having walked on floors of fire and stood in places we can't even dream of. Every movement would catch the light like a flashing shield. And then his voice, the voice of his words like the voice of a multitude. This is, for me, one of the most terrifying and beautiful details. When he spoke, it wasn't one single voice. It was the sound of a stadium full of people. 1,000, maybe 10,000 voices speaking in perfect, thunderous unison. It was a roar, a chord, a wave of sound so massive that it didn't just enter Daniel's ears, it hit him in the chest, vibrated the ground under his feet, and echoed in his very soul. Now Daniel, our old, tired, fasting prophet, sees this, and the men who were with him. They didn't even see the being. They just felt it. The sheer, overwhelming presence of this thing was so terrifying that a great quaking fell upon them. They were hit by a wave of pure, primal fear, the get out of here now instinct. And they did. They bolted. They ran and hid themselves, leaving Daniel all alone by the roaring river with the man made of lightning and fire. Daniel, in his own words, says, "Therefore I was left alone, and saw this great vision, and there remained no strength in me. For my comeliness was turned in me into corruption, and I retained no strength." Let's break that down. There remained no strength in me. Every bit of his physical energy, already low from the fast, just evaporated. His muscles turned to water. His knees buckled. He couldn't have stood if he wanted to. My comeliness was turned in me into corruption. This is such a powerful phrase. Comeliness means his healthy appearance, his vitality, his life force. He felt it all just rot. It was the feeling of a living, healthy human in the presence of something so holy and so other that his own life force felt like death in comparison. He felt his face go pale, the blood drain from it. The contrast between the living fire of the angel and his own mortal dust was so stark. He felt like he was decomposing on the spot. He was, in short, completely and utterly undone. And then he heard the voice of a multitude. Yet heard I the voice of his words. And when I heard the voice of his words, then was I in a deep sleep on my face, and my face toward the ground. The sound alone was too much. It wasn't a knockout like in a cartoon. It was a system overload. His brain simply could not process the sensory input. The sight of the lightning face, the sound of the thunder voice. It was like a breaker switch being thrown. Consciousness just shut down. He collapsed, face first, into the dirt and mud by the riverbank. Utterly gone. This right here is the reality of a true celestial encounter. It's not a gentle, hark, the herald angel sing along with a glowing figure in a white robe. It is a terrifying, strength-sapping, mind-breaking experience. It's a creature of fire and light, and thunder meeting a man of dust and breath. And the dust always breaks. So there's Daniel, passed out cold, face down in the mud, alone. The men who were with him are hiding in the reeds somewhere, probably thinking the world is ending. The river is roaring, and this being of lightning and beryl is standing over him. And then something changes, and behold, an hand touched me. Imagine that. After all that terror, a touch, not a blast of power, not a jolt of lightning, but a hand. It was still, no doubt, an experience. The touch set me upon my knees, and upon the palms of my hands, trembling. He wasn't healed. He wasn't suddenly strong. The touch was just enough to reboot his basic motor functions, to get him from unconscious slab to quivering mess. He's on all fours, shaking so violently he can barely hold himself up. He's still terrified, but he's conscious. And then the voice speaks again. But this time, it must have been different. Maybe the being intentionally dampened the multitude effect, focusing it into something Daniel could actually understand without passing out again. And he said unto me, O Daniel, a man greatly beloved, understand the words that I speak unto thee, and stand upright. For unto thee am I now sent. Let's just take in those first few words. After Daniel has felt like rotting garbage, after his strength has vanished, after he's been knocked flat by terror, the very first thing this celestial being says to him is, O Daniel, a man greatly beloved. He doesn't say, get up, mortal. He doesn't say, do not be afraid. Not yet, that comes later, because Daniel is clearly still afraid. He starts with identity. He starts with love. You are cherished. You are valued beyond your understanding. He's essentially saying, the reason you can even be in my presence, the reason I am here, is because you are so incredibly loved by God. And he gives him a command. Stand upright. And just the command, plus the purpose, for unto thee am I now sent, gives Daniel just enough spiritual juice to pull it off. And when he had spoken this word unto me, I stood trembling. He's on his feet, barely. He's shaking like a leaf in a hurricane. His knees are knocking. He's probably still covered in mud. He's staring at, well, he's probably staring at the being's feet, which are glowing like hot bronze. He's definitely not making eye contact with the lightning face. He is the very picture of terror, and the being, who we now understand is an angel, a messenger, sees this. He sees this beloved, faithful old man shaking from head to toe, and he speaks again, gently. Then said he unto me, Fear not, Daniel. There it is, the classic line, fear not. It's said so often by angels in the Bible, not because it's a magical phrase, but because the default human reaction to them is paralyzing terror. It's less of a command and more of a plea. Please try to breathe. I'm not here to hurt you. I'm here to talk. And then he gets to the reason he's here. And this, my friends, is where our story gets really, really interesting. This is the peek behind the curtain. This is the moment we zoom out from a terrified old man by a river and zoom way out into the cosmic, invisible realm. The angel says, Fear not, Daniel, for from the first day that thou didst set thine heart to understand and to chasten thyself before thy God, thy words were heard, and I am come for thy words. This is staggering. The angel is saying, Daniel, the moment you started this fast, 21 days ago, the second you decided to humble yourself and pray for understanding, your prayer was heard. Not just heard, but answered. I was dispatched immediately. I have been on my way to you for 3 solid weeks. Daniel must be thinking, what, 3 weeks? What takes a being who looks like you 3 weeks? You're made of lightning. You can't get stuck in traffic, can you? And the angel confirms his unasked question. Oh yes, we can. But the Prince of the Kingdom of Persia withstood me 120 days. Whoa, hold on. Let's read that again. The Prince of the Kingdom of Persia. The angel isn't talking about King Cyrus. He's not talking about a human prince or a border guard who wouldn't let him cross the river. Daniel knows the human princes of Persia. This angel, this being of fire and beryl, was held up. He was withstood. He was in a fight for 21 days. The entire time Daniel was fasting and praying. This messenger angel was locked in some kind of invisible celestial combat. This Prince of Persia is not a human. It's something else. It's a spiritual entity, a dark one, a powerful territorial spirit whose job, it seems, was to run spiritual interference for the entire Persian Empire. His goal was to stop this message of hope and future knowledge from getting to Daniel. Why? Because this message would encourage the Jewish people. It would strengthen them. And if this prince was aligned with forces that wanted to keep God's people scattered, weak, and hopeless, then stopping this messenger was priority number 1. So what does this fight look like? We think of swords and armor. Maybe, but it's probably more intense. A battle of wills, a clash of authority. The angel trying to push through the spiritual airspace over Persia, and this prince blocking him, resisting him, wrestling with him. It's not a physical fight like we'd have. It's a battle of a different kind, on a plane of existence we can barely comprehend. Imagine the angel trying to get his message to Daniel, and this dark prince is just in the way, not just standing there, but actively resisting. It's a spiritual stalemate, a cosmic arm wrestle that lasts for 3 weeks. The angel is powerful, for sure, but this prince is also a prince. He has rank, he has power, and he has a home field advantage. The angel is stuck. He can't get past him. He can't deliver the answer to the man who is greatly beloved. And all this time, down on earth, Daniel is just getting hungrier. He's getting weaker. He's probably wondering, does God even hear me? Why am I doing this? It's been 3 weeks. Nothing, just silence. He has no idea that above his head, in a realm he cannot see, a war is being waged because of his prayers. His prayers weren't just heard, they initiated a conflict. So the angel is stuck. The Prince of Persia is blocking him. 21 days pass. The angel can't break the stalemate alone. What do you do when you're in a fight you can't win by yourself? You call for backup, but you don't just call for any backup. You call for the best. You call for the specialist. You call for the heavy artillery. And the angel says, "But lo, Michael, one of the chief princes came to help me, and I remained there with the kings of Persia, and there he is." Michael, this is his introduction in this context. And look at how he's introduced. Michael, one of the chief princes. This isn't just another angel. This is a chief prince, an archangel. If the Prince of Persia is a prince. Michael is a chief prince. He outranks him. He's in a different weight class. The angel messenger, who, by the way, some traditions identify as Gabriel, though the text doesn't name him, is locked in this struggle. And then Michael arrives. We don't get a description of Michael here, but we can imagine. If this messenger is this terrifyingly bright, what does the chief prince look like? What does the commander look like when he shows up on a battlefield? Michael came to help me. He didn't just send advice. He came. He entered the fray, and his arrival completely changed the dynamic. The stalemate was broken. The text is a little cryptic, and I remained there with the kings of Persia. This could mean a few things. The most likely, given the context, is that Michael showed up, took over the fight, and basically tagged in. He told the messenger, "I've got this. You go deliver your message. I'll handle the prince." Michael, the great prince, took on the dark Prince of Persia so that the messenger could finally break through and get to Daniel. Think about that. Michael's job here was to run interference. He was the blocker. He was the one who cleared the path. He's the commander who shows up and says, "Stand aside. I'll take it from here." His presence was so powerful that the messenger was released from his duty of fighting and could now proceed with his original duty of speaking to Daniel. This is our first real glimpse of who Michael is. He's not a messenger. He's a warrior. He's a chief prince. He's the one you call when a high-ranking spiritual battle has ground to a halt. He's the tiebreaker. He's the one who shows up, and the other side has to pay attention. And so, because of Michael, this angel is now standing, trembling, in front of Daniel. The angel then continues, "Now I am come to make thee understand what shall befall thy people in the latter days. For yet the vision is for many days." He's finally able to do his job. He's here to download this massive, complex, and difficult vision about the future of Israel. A vision so important that the Prince of Persia fought for 3 weeks to stop it. A vision so important that Michael, a chief prince, had to personally intervene to ensure its delivery. But Daniel, poor Daniel, he's still not doing so good. After hearing all this about the prayer being heard, the 3-week spiritual war, Michael, the chief prince, what's his reaction? Is he pumped? Is he relieved? No. And when he had spoken such words unto me, I set my face toward the ground, and I became dumb. He's speechless, literally. He clammed up. It's all too much. The vision, the angel, the cosmic war. His brain has blue-screened again. He just stares at the ground mute. He's still on his feet, but he's just shut down. He can't even say, "Wow." The angel, this being of fire and beryl, is probably used to this. He looks at this mute, trembling old man. What to do now? He needs Daniel to be able to talk, to interact, to ask questions. So something else happens. And behold, one like the similitude of the sons of men touched my lips. Then I opened my mouth and spake. Another touch. The text is a little vague here. Is this the same angel? Is it another, gentler attendant? It says, one like the similitude of the sons of men, which is a very human-like description. It's different from the man of fire and lightning. Maybe this is the angel dimming his glory even further, taking on a form that is less lightning face and more human shape, so Daniel can cope. This gentler form, or perhaps a different being entirely, touches Daniel's lips. It's a gesture of unsealing, a gesture of giving him his voice back. It's a parallel to what happened to other prophets, like Isaiah or Jeremiah, whose mouths were touched to purify them or give them words. Here, it seems to be just to unlock his frozen-up ability to speak. And it works. Daniel opens his mouth. And what does he say? Does he say, "Tell me about the future"? What about Michael? What did the Prince of Persia look like? No, he says, "O my Lord, by the vision my sorrows are turned upon me, and I have retained no strength. For how can the servant of this my Lord talk with this my Lord? For as for me, straightway there remained no strength in me, neither is there breath left in me." It's a protest. It's an apology. It's a statement of fact. He's basically saying, "Sir, I'm a mess. Just seeing you has wrecked me. I have no strength. My breath is gone. I can't even breathe properly, let alone have an intelligent conversation with you. How am I supposed to do this?" He is completely, 100% honest about his human frailty. "I am not built for this. I'm falling apart. I can't breathe. I can't stand. I can't talk. I am not okay." He's not being disrespectful. He's just being real. The gap between them is too vast. The messenger, he understands. Daniel needs more than just his voice back. He needs life. He needs strength. Then there came again, and touched me one like the appearance of a man, and he strengthened me. A third touch. This one is different. The first one got him from unconscious to trembling. The second one unlocked his voice. This third touch, it imparts strength. It's a transfer of energy. It's the celestial being pouring a little bit of divine power into Daniel's drained, mortal battery. It's described as one like the appearance of a man. Again, this gentle, non-threatening form. This being touches him, and Daniel feels not his own strength, but a given strength. A supernatural ability to stand, to breathe, to think straight. And with this strengthening touch, the being speaks again. The words are pure comfort, and said, "O man greatly beloved, fear not. Peace be unto thee. Be strong, yea, be strong." He repeats it. "O man greatly beloved." He reminds him again of his identity. "You are cherished. Fear not. I am not here to destroy you. Peace be unto thee. Let your heart stop pounding. Let the terror go. Be at peace." And then the command, which is also a blessing. "Be strong, yea, be strong. Receive this strength. Hold on to it. Be strong." And Daniel's own words tell us what happened. "And when he had spoken unto me, I was strengthened." The words themselves, combined with the touch, did the job. The strength flowed into him, His knees stopped knocking. His mind cleared. He could finally be present in this conversation. And he says, "Let my Lord speak, for thou hast strengthened me." He's ready. "Okay, I'm good now. You have my full attention. Talk to me." The angel, having spent all this time just getting Daniel prepped for the actual message, is now ready to proceed. He's like, "Great. Okay. Finally. Now, where were we?" He asks a rhetorical question. "Knowest thou wherefore I come unto thee?" Do you understand why I'm here? I'm here to give you this vision. And then he gives Daniel the closing bookend to this whole encounter. He tells him what's happening next. "And now will I return to fight with the Prince of Persia. My tour of duty here, speaking to you, is almost over. And when I leave, I'm going right back to the front lines. The fight isn't over. Michael's intervention was just to get me out. But the war for influence over the Persian Empire, that's still going on. I'm tagging back in. And when I am gone forth, lo, the Prince of Persia shall come." This is the big picture intel. He's saying, we're in this massive spiritual struggle over Persia right now. But guess what? That's not even the final boss. After Persia, a new power is rising. Greece. And it has its own dark prince, a Prince of Persia. And that's going to be a whole other battle. He's revealing to Daniel that the rise and fall of human empires, Persia, then Greece, isn't just politics. It's not just about kings and armies. There is a parallel, invisible, spiritual conflict happening simultaneously. Spiritual princes are exerting influence, and heaven's armies are fighting back. It's a staggering, worldview-shattering revelation. But before he goes back to that fight, he has one last thing to do. The whole reason he came. But I will show thee that which is noted in the scripture of truth. I am going to deliver this message. I'm going to tell you what is written in the scripture of truth. This heavenly record of what is to come. I'm going to give you the download. And then he gives one final incredible shout out to his commander. He's about to detail this epic, difficult future. And he makes it clear that in all this conflict, in this cosmic chess game against the Prince of Persia and the future Prince of Persia, he is not alone. Daniel is not alone. And there is none that holdeth with me in these things, but Michael your prince. This line is everything. There is none that holdeth with me, or no one who stands strong with me against these, but Michael. In this high-stakes, high-level spiritual war against these territorial powers, this angel says, there's only one person I can count on who is my partner in this. It's Michael. But he doesn't just say Michael. He says, Michael, your prince. He personalizes it for Daniel. He connects this mighty chief prince, this celestial warrior, directly to Daniel's people. He's not just a prince. He is your prince. This is the first time we see Michael's job description get specific. He is the chief prince who came to help. And he is the designated prince or guardian of Israel. This whole incredible, terrifying, strength-sapping encounter, which began with Daniel fasting and ended with him being supernaturally strengthened, serves as the introduction. It sets the stage. It pulls back the curtain on the invisible world and shows us that history is not just history. It's a battlefield. And on that battlefield, one of the key players, one of the chief princes, the one who shows up to break stalemates, the one who stands against the darkness, is Michael. And his specific assignment, protecting Daniel's people. This is where we first meet Michael, not as a name, but as an actor. He's the rescuer, the heavy hitter who comes in to help a fellow angel, the commander who is also the designated guardian. He is the Prince of Israel, and this is just the beginning. This role, as the great prince who stands up for the people of God, is a thread that we will see woven through every one of his appearances. It all starts here, on the muddy banks of the Tigris, with a terrified old man and a messenger who was 3 weeks late. All because of a war we couldn't see. Part 2, the angel, this incredible being of beryl and lightning, who has finally been able to speak to Daniel, has just dropped this incredible piece of information. He's just finished explaining that in the unseen spiritual war, the war against the Prince of Persia and the future Prince of Grecia, the only one who stands with him, the only one who is his rock-solid ally, is Michael, your prince. He has personalized the commander. He has taken the chief prince of all heaven and assigned him, like a personal bodyguard, to Daniel's people. He's your prince, he says, and that simple phrase hangs in the air, buzzing with power. And now, the angel, having given Daniel this look at the present cosmic struggle, is about to pivot. He's about to answer Daniel's original, unspoken question. The question that started the fast. What is going to happen to my people? The angel has already said, I am come to make thee understand what shall befall thy people in the latter days. So the angel continues. He's just explained the fight with Persia and the coming of Greece. And then he gives Daniel this long, incredibly detailed, and frankly, quite frightening prophecy. We know it as Daniel chapter 11. He walks Daniel through history that hasn't happened yet. He talks about kings of the south pushing at kings of the north. He describes the rise of the Greek Empire under Alexander the Great. A mighty king shall stand up, and how it will be broken and divided into 4, which it was. He describes the intricate, backstabbing, royal soap opera of the dynasties that followed. The Ptolemies in Egypt, the south, and the Seleucids in Syria, the north, fighting back and forth over the land of Israel, which was trapped in the middle. He gets so specific that it's chilling. He talks about the daughter of the king of the south, who shall come to the king of the north to make an agreement. A story we can check in history books about a political marriage that went horribly wrong. He details campaign after campaign, betrayal after betrayal. He is downloading centuries of future history into Daniel's mind. And Daniel, who has been strengthened, is just taking this all in. This is the scripture of truth, This is the real, unvarnished future. And it's not pretty. It's just more war, more conflict, more of his people being caught in the crossfire. The angel's vision gets darker and darker. He describes one particular king of the north, a man we know from history as Antiochus Epiphanes. The angel calls him a vile person. He describes how this king will come in peacefully by flattery, and then, in a rage, he will turn on Israel. He will pollute the sanctuary. He will take away the daily sacrifice, and he will set up the abomination that maketh desolate. This is a specific, horrifying event where this king would march into the holy temple in Jerusalem, stop the worship of God, and erect an idol to a pagan god, Zeus, in its place. He would sacrifice a pig on the altar. It was the ultimate act of defilement and blasphemy. It was an attempt to erase the faith of Daniel's people. And the angel says, "And such as do wickedly against the covenant shall he corrupt by flatteries. But the people that do know their God shall be strong and do exploits." He foretells the Maccabean revolt, a time of incredible courage, but also a time of terrible persecution, where people would be slain with the sword, and by flame, by captivity, and by spoil many days. It's so much. It's so heavy. Daniel wanted to know what would happen, and the answer is more suffering, more struggle. But the angel's vision doesn't even end there. It's like the history of this vile person becomes a template, a preview for something even worse. The vision fast forwards, blurring past the centuries, right to the very end. The time of the end. At this time of the end, the angel says, another king will arise, a final king, a king who shall do according to his will. He will exalt himself and magnify himself above every god. He won't care about the God of his fathers or any god. He will worship only power, a God of forces. He will be the ultimate tyrant, the final, terrible world ruler. And he will come against Daniel's people with a fury that makes even Antiochus look tame. This is the climax of the vision. This is the moment of absolute, total darkness. The moment when this final, blasphemous king has gathered the armies of the world, when he has planted his tabernacles between the seas and the glorious holy mountain. He's in Israel. He's on the attack. He is at the very gates, poised to wipe out God's people for good. Everything is on the line. All hope, it seems, is lost. This is the greatest trouble. This is the apex of all human history and all human evil. This is the moment Daniel has been fasting to understand. This is the end. And this is where we get to part 2 of our story. Because right at that moment, that absolute last second, when the darkness is so thick you can't breathe, and the enemy is at the gates, the angel says this, and at that time, at that specific, preordained, desperate moment, not a second before, not a second too late, at the exact moment when that final, evil king is at the peak of his power, at that time, shall Michael stand up? Let's just stop. Let's just sit with that phrase. Michael shall stand up. This is, without a doubt, one of the most powerful and hopeful sentences in the entire Old Testament. This isn't just Michael will show up. It's not Michael will send a memo. It's not Michael will file a complaint. It is Michael shall stand up. What does that mean? What does it imply? Throughout this whole vision, this whole long, sad history of kings and wars and suffering Michael has been, where the angel has already told us. He's the one who standeth for Daniel's people. He's been the guardian, the sentinel, the prince who holds with the good angels. He's been standing for, standing with, standing by. It's a present tense job. He's the guardian on the wall. He's the secret service agent, always watching, always present, always deflecting unseen arrows, always fighting in the spiritual realm to hold back the worst of the chaos. Just like he fought the Prince of Persia, he's been holding the line for centuries, for millennia. But standing for is different from standing up. Standing up is an action. It's an intervention. It's a state change. It's the moment the sentinel leaves the wall and joins the battle. It's the moment the guardian steps in front of the person he's protecting. It's the moment the lawyer in the courtroom, who has been sitting and listening, finally rises to his feet to make his case, and the whole court goes silent. It's the moment the king, who has been on his throne, stands, and everyone drops to their knees, because they know a decree is about to be made. A war is about to be declared. Michael shall stand up. This is the break glass, in case of emergency, moment for all of human history. It means that all this time, there has been a limit. A line that the forces of darkness were not allowed to cross. And in this time of the end, that final evil king, in his arrogance, crosses that line. He tries to do the one thing Michael is specifically assigned to prevent: the final, total annihilation of the people of the covenant. And in that moment, in the high courts of heaven, Michael, the chief prince, the commander, stands. Can you imagine the silence in heaven? The angels, the seraphim, the cherubim, they all stop. The music stops. They all turn, because Michael is on his feet, the great prince, the commander of the Yahweh Sabaoth, the Lord of Armies. He's not just standing by anymore. He has been given the order. Or perhaps the threat itself is the order. The alarm has been sounded, and the chief of security is moving. It's a declaration. It's a statement that says, no, this far and no farther. You have touched the apple of his eye. You have gone too far, and now I am involved. The angel wants Daniel to know this. He wants him to understand that no matter how bad the vision gets, no matter how terrible that final king is, no matter how hopeless it seems, there is a trigger, there is a limit, and the name of that limit is Michael. The standing up of Michael is the beginning of the end for the king who does as he wills. The angel's prophecy about that king ends with a single, brutal sentence. He shall come to his end, and none shall help him. Why? Because Michael stood up. This is his role. This is his ultimate purpose. The guardian becomes the intervener. The protector becomes the avenger. And who is this Michael? That his standing up is a world-changing event. the angel repeats his title, just in case Daniel forgot. Michael shall stand up, the great prince. The great prince, in Hebrew, Sar Gadol. Sar means prince, commander, ruler. Gadol means great, large, mighty, important. This isn't just a title, it's a description. He is the great prince. The Prince of Persia was just a Sar. The Prince of Grecia was just a Sar. They are princes, yes. They are powerful, dark, territorial spirits. They require to fight. But Michael is Sar Gadol. He is the great prince. He is in a category all by himself. This is the angel reinforcing what he said back in chapter 10. He's the chief prince. He's the one who came to help when the messenger angel was stuck in a 3-week stalemate. Michael's arrival broke that stalemate. He handled the Prince of Persia so the messenger could get through. His rank is supreme. He is the field marshal of all of heaven's armies. When he stands, it's not just one angel standing. It's the entire authority of heaven's military moving into position. It's the sound of a billion chariots of fire. It's the checkmate move in the great cosmic game. This title, the Great Prince, is meant to be a comfort. The angel is telling Daniel, yes, the world will have its princes. Persia has one. Greece has one. They are dark and they are strong. But your prince is the great prince. He outranks them. He outmatches them. He is Gadol. It's the ultimate, my big brother can beat up your big brother. Except here, it's the literal truth of the spiritual realm. The forces of darkness may have their princes, but God's people have the prince. And what is this great prince's specific, personal, never-ending assignment? The angel clarifies that too, linking it back to what he said before. A great prince which standeth for the children of thy people. There it is again. His job description repeated and confirmed. In chapter 10, he was Michael, your prince. Now, in chapter 12, he is the great prince which standeth for the children of thy people. Notice the verb tense. Michael shall stand up, future tense, the intervention. But he is the one who standeth for present participle, the ongoing job. His job, right now, as Daniel is standing there covered in mud. His job, right now, as you are lying in your bed, listening to this, is standing for. What does it mean to stand for someone? It means to represent them, to be their champion, to be their advocate. If someone says, I stand for this, it means this is what I believe in. This is what I will defend. Michael's entire being is standing for the people of God. He is the ultimate guardian. He is the sentinel. He's the one packing the invisible ramparts, his eyes fixed on the people of the covenant. He is their representative in the heavenly court. He is their defender on the spiritual battlefield. Think of it this way. The Prince of Persia was an accuser, a blocker. His job was to resist, to accuse, to stop God's plans. Satan himself is called the accuser of the brethren, who accuses them before God day and night. is Michael's job. He stands for them. He defends them. He is the heavenly champion. When the Prince of Persia tries to block a blessing, Michael is the one who comes to help and clear the way. When the accuser points a finger, Michael is the one who stands in defense. This is his identity. He's not just Michael the warrior. He is Michael, the great prince who stands for. His warrior nature serves his guardian heart. He is a warrior because he is a protector. And he's not just a generic protector of good. He has a specific assignment. The children of thy people, Daniel's people, the covenant people, Israel. This is his post. This is his charge. This makes the whole story so much more personal. Heaven isn't just a vague collection of good guys. It's an organized kingdom. And in that kingdom, this great prince, this Sar Gadol, has been given a specific, personal assignment. Watch over these people. They are yours to guard. So you have this time of the end. You have this final, terrible, arrogant king. You have the people of God, cornered, persecuted, about to be annihilated. And this king, in his madness, has not only declared war on them, he has declared war on their guardian. He has stepped into the jurisdiction of the great prince. He has, in effect, poked the sleeping dragon, and Michael stands up. What happens next? The angel is brutally honest. The moment Michael stands up is not the moment all the bad stuff stops. It's the moment the final conflict begins. It's the trigger for the end. The angel says, "And there shall be a time of trouble." Michael's intervention triggers the climax of the trouble. It's like he stands up and says, "Okay, you want to end this? Let's end this. All cards on the table, right now." And the trouble that is unleashed is final. A time of trouble, such as never was since there was a nation, even to that same time. This is the Great Tribulation. This is the worst-case scenario for all of human history. Jesus himself would later quote this very prophecy, using almost the exact same words. He said, "For then shall be great tribulation, such as was not since the beginning of the world to this time, no, nor ever shall be." Matthew 24:21. He was referencing this moment. This prophecy from Daniel. The angel is telling Daniel, it is going to get worse than you can possibly imagine. Worse than the exile to Babylon. Worse than the persecution under the vile King Antiochus. It will be the single worst period of suffering, chaos, and distress in the history of the world. This is the "you probably won't survive this" reality check. It's a time of unprecedented natural disasters, of unprecedented human cruelty, of unprecedented demonic deception. It's the unraveling of the world as we know it. And it is right in the middle of this that Michael is doing his work. His standing up doesn't prevent the trouble. It initiates the end of it. It guarantees that his people, though they pass through this fire, will not be consumed by it. This is the most important part. This is the whole reason the angel is telling him this. Yes, there will be a time of unimaginable trouble. But, and at that time, at that same time, during that very trouble, while the world is ending and the fire is raging, thy people shall be delivered. This is the promise. This is the payoff. This is why Michael stands up. He doesn't stand up to start the trouble. He stands up to end it. He stands up to deliver his people. His rising is the signal for the rescue operation to begin. The final king shall come to his end, and none shall help him. But Daniel's people shall be delivered. The deliverance is linked to Michael's action. He is the agent of that deliverance. He is the commander who leads the rescue. He is the great prince who personally intervenes to save his charge when everything else is failing, when the foundations of the earth are shaking, when the worst tyrant in history is on his rampage. The one solid, unmovable, guaranteed thing is this: Michael will stand up and his people will be delivered. It's a promise. It's a rock. It's the ultimate "I've got you." The angel is giving Daniel this vision that is so dark, so full of despair. And then, at the very, very end, he plants this seed of incredible hope. It's not a hope that they will avoid the trouble. It's a hope that they will be saved out of it. And then the angel adds one last, crucial detail. A detail that moves this from a national deliverance to a personal one. Who gets delivered? Is it just everyone who happens to be born Jewish? No, the angel is more specific. Thy people shall be delivered. Every one that shall be found written in the book. A book, a heavenly register, a list. This isn't the first time this book is mentioned in the Bible. Moses knew about it. He once prayed in his desperation, "If not, blot me, I pray thee, out of thy book which thou hast written." Exodus 32:32. The psalmist talks about the book of the living. Psalm 69:28. In the New Testament, it's called the Lamb's Book of Life. Revelation 21:27. This is a list of names, a list of those who know their God, a list of those who are faithful, a list of those whose names are written in heaven. This is the most comforting, intimate detail of the whole prophecy. Michael's job isn't just to protect a nation as a political entity. His job is not to protect a concept. His job is to protect individuals. His job is to deliver everyone whose name is in that book. He's not just the great Prince of Israel. He is the great Prince for Sarah, and for David, and for Ruth, and for Daniel. He knows the list. He is the guardian of the names. When he stands up for the children of thy people, he is standing up for the specific people on that heavenly register. It means the deliverance is personal. It means that in the middle of the worst chaos the world has ever seen, a chaos designed to swallow everyone, no one on that list will be lost. Not one. Everyone shall be delivered. Michael's job is to ensure that the written are delivered. His search and rescue mission has a 100% success rate. He doesn't miss anyone. He doesn't lose anyone. He doesn't leave anyone behind. This is Michael's ultimate role. This is his identity. He is Michael, the great prince. His ongoing job is standing for the people of God. He is the guardian, the advocate, the defender. His future job is standing up at the time of the end. The reason for that job is the time of trouble, such as never was, and the result of that job is the deliverance of every one that shall be found written in the book. This one verse, Daniel 12:1, is the most complete job description for Michael in the entire Bible. Everything else we see him do is a shadow of this. His fight with the Prince of Persia in chapter 10, that was just a skirmish. That was just him standing for his people, clearing the way for a message. But this is the final war. This is him standing up. The angel has given Daniel the worst news possible, the great trouble, and the best news possible, the great prince and the great deliverance. He's pulled back the curtain, not just on the history of kings and empires, but on the guardian who watches over it all. He's given Daniel and us a reason not to be afraid of the dark, because in the absolute darkest moment, when the night is blackest and the monster is at the door, that is the exact moment that the great prince gets to his feet. And that, for Daniel, has to be the most comforting thought in the world. After 21 days of fasting, of grief, of worrying about his people, he finally has his answer. What will happen to my people? They will go through fire, and they will be delivered, because Michael, their prince, the great prince, has the watch, and he never ever fails his post. This is the promise. This is the character of Michael. He is the commander, yes, but he is a commander with a charge, a commander with a list, a commander who is, at his very core, a protector, the great protector. Part 3, in the last couple of parts, we've gotten to know Michael primarily as a warrior, a prince. We saw him in the thick of a spiritual war, coming to help the angel messenger who was stuck in a 3-week cosmic arm wrestle with the Prince of Persia. We saw him as this high-ranking chief prince, the one who clears the way. And then we fast-forwarded to the very end of time, to that dark, desperate moment when a final, terrible king is about to wipe out God's people. And we heard that incredible, hopeful promise. At that time, Michael shall stand up. We saw him as the great prince, the Sar Gadol, the ultimate deliverer, the commander who personally ensures that every one that shall be found written in the book is rescued. So we have this picture of Michael as this epic, powerful, end times hero. He's the commander of the Lord's armies. He's the one who brings the checkmate to history. But now, I want to tell you a different story about Michael. A much older story. A much stranger story. It's a story that doesn't take place on a cosmic battlefield or at the end of the world. It takes place in a quiet, lonely valley next to a brand new, unmarked grave. And it's not a war. It's a debate, an argument, of Michael that is, perhaps, even more stunning than his power. We'll see his character. To set this story up, we have to go all the way back. Back past Daniel, past the kings, past the exile. All the way back to the very beginning of Israel as a nation. We have to go back to the man who, in many ways, started it all. We have to go back to Moses. Moses, what a life. I mean, can you even imagine? Born a slave, raised a prince of Egypt, then a murderer on the run. He spends 40 years as a quiet shepherd in the middle of nowhere, probably thinking his life story is pretty much over. And then, at 80 years old, a bush starts on fire but doesn't burn up. And God, from the middle of the fire, says, "Okay, Moses, Act 2, you're going to go back and tell the most powerful man in the world, Pharaoh, to let my people go." And he does it. He sees the 10 plagues. He walks through the Red Sea on dry ground. He goes up Mount Sinai and comes back with his face literally glowing with the glory of God, carrying the 10 Commandments. He leads, complains, and puts up with, let's be honest, a very difficult group of people for 40 more years in the desert. He's their leader, their judge, their prophet, their general. He talks with God face to face, as a man speaketh unto his friend. His entire 120-year-long life is a story of incredible highs and devastating lows. And now he's at the end. They've finally made it. They are camped on the plains of Moab, right across the Jordan River from the Promised Land. They can see it. They can probably smell the olive groves and the vineyards on the wind. It's right there. But Moses isn't going in. You see, a little while back, the people had been complaining again about having no water. And God told Moses, "Speak to the rock, and it will give water." A simple command. Just speak to it. But Moses he was just done. He was tired. He was angry. He was frustrated with these people he had given his life for. And instead of speaking to the rock, he gathered the people and yelled, "Hear now, ye rebels, must we fetch you water out of this rock?" And he took his staff and he hit the rock. Twice. The water came out, sure. The people drank. But God was not pleased. Moses, in his anger, had done 2 things wrong. He had disobeyed a direct, simple command. He hid it instead of spoke to it. And he had taken the credit. Must we fetch you water? He had, in a moment of human frustration, put himself in God's place. He had misrepresented God's character to the people. God wasn't angry, he was providing. Moses was angry, and he acted like he was the provider. And the consequence was heartbreaking. God said, "Because you trespassed against me, you shall not bring this congregation into the land which I have given them." Moses would not be the one to lead them in. That job would fall to his young apprentice, Joshua. So now, here he is, 120 years old. The book of Deuteronomy tells us his eye was not dim, nor his natural force abated. He was still a strong, sharp man, but it was his time. God calls him up one last time to the top of Mount Nebo, to a peak called Pisgah. And from there, God himself gives Moses a final, personal tour. It's one of the most tender, bittersweet moments in the whole Bible. God says, "Look," and he shows him everything. He points out the lands of Gilead and Dan and Naphtali. He shows him the land of Ephraim and Manasseh. He shows him all the land of Judah, all the way to the Mediterranean Sea. He shows him the Negev desert in the south, and the valley of Jericho, the city of palm trees. He shows him the entire promised land, stretching out before him like a map. And God says to him, "This is the land which I swear unto Abraham, unto Isaac, and unto Jacob, saying, I will give it unto thy seed. I have caused thee to see it with thine eyes, but thou shalt not go over thither. I have let you see it, but you can't go in." Can you imagine the emotions in Moses' heart? The joy of seeing that the promise was real. The ache of knowing he wouldn't set foot on it. The peace of a long life finally at its end. The trust in the God who, despite his flaws, had been his friend. And the Bible says, in the most simple, profound words, "So Moses, the servant of the Lord, died there in the land of Moab, according to the word of the Lord." He just died there on the mountain, alone with God. His life was over. And then we get one of the strangest, most mysterious verses in the whole Old Testament. It says, "And he buried him." Wait, what? He buried him. Who's he? The he in context is God. God himself. God, the creator of the universe, personally took the body of his servant, Moses, and buried him in a valley in the land of Moab, opposite a place called Beth Peor. This wasn't a state funeral. There was no procession. Joshua wasn't there. The elders weren't there. His family wasn't there. It was just God and Moses. A final, intimate, private act of care. And the text adds this all-important detail. "But no man knoweth of his sepulchre, his tomb unto this day." God buried Moses, and he hid the grave. He hid it so well that, to the day the book of Deuteronomy was written, no one had ever found it. And to this day, thousands of years later, no one has ever found it. People have looked. Oh, have they looked? But the grave of Moses is the one great archaeological prize that will never, ever be uncovered. Why? Why all the secrecy? Why did God, who is usually all about building an altar and setting up a memorial stone to remember his great acts, why did he go out of his way to make sure no one knew where his greatest prophet was buried? Well, God, you see, knows people. He really knows people. And he especially knew his people, the Israelites. And what was the one, single, solitary thing they were, let's say, not great at? Not worshiping idols. Bless their hearts, they were an idolatrous bunch. Moses isn't even down the mountain with the 10 Commandments, and they're already at the bottom, melting down their earrings to build a golden calf. They longed for something physical to worship, something they could see and touch and bow down to. Later in their history, they would take the bronze serpent that Moses had made in the wilderness, the very thing God had used to heal them, and they would start burning incense to it. They turned a symbol of God's healing into an idol. And King Hezekiah had to eventually destroy it. Now just imagine for a second, what if they knew where Moses was buried? What if there was a tomb of Moses? It would have become the single biggest shrine on the face of the planet. Forget the Kaaba, forget the Wailing Wall, forget St. Peter's Basilica. This would be the spot. They wouldn't just visit it, they would worship at it. They would pray to Moses. They would build a massive temple over it. They would bring sacrifices. They would chip off little bits of the rock for holy relics. They would take Moses, the lawgiver, the man who brought them the first commandment. You shall have no other gods before me. And they would turn him into a god. Satan, the enemy, would have loved that. Oh, the irony. To use God's greatest lawgiver as the instrument to break God's greatest law. It would have been his masterpiece of deception. God, in his infinite wisdom and his protective, fatherly love, knew this. And he said, "No, I'm not going to let you do that. I'm not going to let you stumble over this." So he hid the body. He took his beloved servant and laid him to rest in a secret place, safe from the very people he had died serving. It was an act of protection, an act of mercy. So the grave is secret. That's the end of the story, right? Moses dies. God buries him. The grave is lost. Israel moves on. Not quite. There was an incident. We don't know about it from the Old Testament. The story is hidden, just like the grave. For centuries, no one knew, until almost at the very end of the New Testament, in a tiny, fiery, one-chapter letter written by a man named Jude, the brother of James. We get this. One single verse. Jude chapter 1, verse 9. It's a verse that has baffled and fascinated people for 2,000 years. Jude is in the middle of a rant. He's warning the church against false teachers, these arrogant, mouthy guys who speak evil of dignities, who mock spiritual authority, who have no respect for anything angelic or otherwise. And to show just how arrogant these false teachers are, Jude gives them a point of contrast. He says, "You guys will slander anything, but let me tell you about real authority. Let me tell you about true power." And he says this, "Yet Michael the Archangel, when contending with the devil he disputed about the body of Moses, durst not bring against him a railing accusation, but said, 'The Lord rebuke thee.'" And that's it. That's all we get. This single, tantalizing snapshot. A behind-the-scenes glimpse into a confrontation that happened in that lonely, secret valley. Let's just break this down. We have 3 characters in this tiny little drama. One, Michael the Archangel. We know him. He's the Sar Gadol, the great prince, the commander of heaven's armies. His name means "who is like God." He is, by all accounts, the most powerful created being in all of heaven's roster. 2, the devil, Satan, the accuser, the enemy, the fallen cherub, the prince of this world, the other most powerful created being, but the one who is in active, hateful rebellion. 3. The body of Moses. The silent, non-moving subject of the debate. The physical remains of God's faithful, flawed servant. The setting, that secret valley in Moab. The event, a contention, a dispute, an argument. The two highest-ranking princes of the entire spiritual realm are standing face to face over a corpse. This is just weird, right? It feels like something out of a comic book. And the first question we have to ask is, why? Why was the devil, Satan himself, there? What did he want with the body of Moses? The Bible doesn't explicitly say. But Jude clearly knew this story. It was part of a known oral tradition, or perhaps a written text that's now lost to us, like the Assumption of Moses. But based on what we just talked about, we can guess. Satan, the great deceiver, the one who loves to twist God's plan, has shown up to what? To steal the body, to take it, to move it, to reveal it, to do the one thing God didn't want to happen. Satan's plan was almost certainly that masterpiece of irony we just discussed. I will take this body. I will make sure the Israelites find it. I will whisper in their hearts that this is a holy place, a thin place. I will teach them to pray to Moses, and I will sit back and laugh as they break the very first commandment that this man's hands carried down the mountain. I will turn God's greatest prophet into his people's greatest idol. It's a brilliant, subtle, demonic plan. It's exactly his style. But there's another layer to it. Satan is not just a deceiver. He is also the accuser. That's literally what his name means. Ha, Satan, the accuser, the prosecuting attorney. He's a legalist. He's the one who stands before God, points at us, and says, guilty. Look at their sin. They broke the rules. They belong to me. So you have to imagine the scene. God has just laid Moses' body to rest. And Satan, he shows up. Maybe he just appears. This being of old, terrible, cold light. And he's not just there to steal. He's there to make a claim. He's come to dispute. That word means to argue a legal case. Satan is standing over the body of Moses, and he's pointing. And he's talking to Michael. Why Michael? Because Michael is the one who stands for the people of God. He's the guardian, the Prince of Israel. He's the one who came to help in Daniel. It makes sense that he is the one sent by God to handle this, to ensure the burial is respected, to be the sentinel of this holy, secret place. So Michael is there in his glory, and Satan is there in his darkness. And Satan, the accuser, begins his argument. This body is mine. Michael, we can imagine, just stands there, silent, waiting. It's mine. By right, Satan continues. Let's review the case, shall we, Prince? Let's look at the file on Moses, servant of the Lord. How about murder? And Satan would pull up that memory from Exodus chapter 2. Moses, a prince of Egypt, sees an Egyptian beating a Hebrew slave. He looks this way and that way, and when he sees no one is watching, he kills the Egyptian, and he hides the body in the sand. That's a murderer, Satan hisses. took a life. He has the blood of man on his hands. He belongs to me. The father of lies is also the father of murder. He's one of my children. His body is mine. Michael says nothing. Oh, not good enough for you, Satan mocks. How about rebellion, direct disobedience against your king? And he would pull up the memory from Meribah. The rock. God, speak to it. Moses, must we fetch you water? Smack, smack. He broke the command, Satan argues. He dishonored God publicly. He was so rebellious that God himself banned him from the promised land. He died in sin on this side of the river, under God's judgment. He's a failed servant. He's a rebel. He belongs to me. His body is mine. This is the contention. This is the dispute. Satan is making a legal claim. He's arguing that because of Moses' sin, murder, rebellion, pride, his body, his physical remains, now belong to the domain of the prince of this world. He's arguing from a place of law. The wages of sin is death. Moses sinned. He died. He's mine. And what's so powerful here, what's so true, is that Satan isn't wrong about the facts anyway. Moses did murder the Egyptian. Moses did strike the rock in prideful anger. The facts of the case are correct. If this were a legal battle based on merit, on law, on who was a good boy, Satan would have a point. Moses, like every human being except one, was a sinner. So here's Michael, the great prince, the Sar Gadol. He's listening to this. This liar, twist the truth. He's listening to the source of all sin accuse God's servant of being a sinner. The irony is suffocating. What does Michael do? What would we do? We'd fight right. We'd argue back. How dare you? You're the one to talk. You traitor. You're the original sinner. You're the one who rebelled in heaven. You're the one who tempted Eve. You're the one who has been lying and murdering from the beginning. You are the one who is guilty. You are the one under judgment, who'd have brought a railing accusation. The Greek word is Chrissy's blasphemies, a judgment of blasphemy, a slanderous, abusive, insulting judgment. And Michael, he could have. He's the Archangel. He knows Satan's file. He was there when Satan fell. He probably led the army that threw him out of heaven. We'll get to that later. Michael had every right and every piece of evidence he needed to absolutely destroy Satan in this argument. He could have verbally, spiritually, and let's be honest, physically taken him apart. He could have said, "You have no rights here, you condemned thing." But the verse says, durst not bring against him a railing accusation. He durst not, he did not dare. Wait, what? Michael, the great prince, didn't dare to insult the devil. This sounds weird. Is Michael afraid of him? No, that's not it at all. This isn't fear. This is discipline. This is humility. This is understanding the chain of command. Jude's whole point is that these false teachers are arrogant. They speak evil of things they don't understand. They are puffed up. They are accusers. Michael is not. He knows something profound. He knows that his job is not accuser. That's Satan's job. He knows that his job is not judge. That's God's job. Michael's job is soldier, servant, defender. He durst not bring an accusation, because in doing so, he would be lowering himself to Satan's level. He would be stepping out of his own lane. He would be taking an authority that was not his to take. The judgment of blasphemy belongs to God, the ultimate judge. Michael, the great prince, is the most powerful being in creation, and his single greatest characteristic is his perfect obedience and humility before his king. He understands jurisdiction. Think of it like this. A high-ranking, decorated general finds a known, wanted terrorist planting a bomb. The general arrests him. The terrorist, in his arrogance, starts taunting the general. You're a murderer. You've killed people. You're no better than me. You have no authority. The general could list all the reasons the terrorist is a monster. He could pass sentence on him right there. But a good general, a disciplined general, simply says, save it for the judge. He doesn't dare pass sentence, not because he's afraid of the terrorist, but because he respects the law he serves. He knows his job is to apprehend, not to sentence. Michael is the perfect, disciplined general. He's face to face with the ultimate spiritual terrorist. Satan is making his legal case. Moses is a sinner. He's mine. And Michael, he doesn't argue the facts. He doesn't debate Moses' sin. He doesn't say, well, God forgave him. He doesn't say, well, his good deeds outweighed his bad. He doesn't get into the mud with the accuser. He does not bring a railing accusation. Instead, he does something far, far more powerful. He said, the Lord rebuke thee. That's it. 5 words. The Lord rebuke thee. In Hebrew, it would be something like Yigar Adonai Bika. This is everything. This isn't a wish. It's not, oh, I sure hope the Lord tells you off. This is an invocation. This is Michael, the field commander, taking his radio and saying, this is a broken arrow. I am invoking the highest authority. This situation is now under the direct jurisdiction of the king. He doesn't use his own authority. He uses God's. He doesn't pass his own judgment. He invokes God's. And this exact phrase, the Lord rebuke thee, it shows up in one other crucial place in the Old Testament. It's in the prophecy of Zechariah. The prophet has a vision. He sees Joshua, the high priest, standing before the angel of the Lord. And who is standing at his right hand? Satan to resist him, to accuse him. And Joshua is clothed in filthy garments, symbolizing the sin of the people. Satan is there, pointing at Joshua, making the same case he made against Moses. He's filthy. He's a sinner. He's not worthy. He's mine. And what does the angel of the Lord say? He doesn't argue. He says, the Lord rebuke thee, O Satan. Is not this a brand plucked out of the fire? It's the same scene. It's heaven's official, standard operating procedure response to to the accuser. The accusation of sin, which is true, is met, not with an argument, but with a declaration of authority and grace. Satan says, he's a sinner, the law says. Michael says, the king says, be quiet, the Lord rebuke you. Satan says, but the murder, the rock. Michael says, the Lord rebuke thee. Satan says, but my claim. Michael says, the Lord rebuke thee. He is not asking. He is stating. He is enforcing the king's jurisdiction over this situation. He's reminding Satan, you are not the judge here. You are not the accuser here. You are not anything. Here, this is God's servant. This is God's business. And God is the one who rebukes you. This is, in its own way, more powerful than any railing accusation. A railing accusation would have started a fight, an argument, a debate. The Lord rebuke thee ends it. It's a full stop. It's a checkmate. Because Satan can argue with Michael. A prince can argue with a prince, but he cannot argue with the Lord. When Michael invokes the name and the authority of God himself, the debate is over. Satan's legal claim, based on the law of sin and death, just disintegrates when it comes up against the royal authority of grace and forgiveness. God is the one who forgave Moses. God is the one who called Moses my servant. God is the one who just laid him to rest. Satan's claim is null and void, and he knows it. Faced with this direct invocation of the supreme authority, Satan has to back down. He has no legal leg to stand on. His jurisdiction has been denied. He has been rebuked, and he has to leave. And Michael, the great prince, the Sar Gadol, stands his watch. He remains. The body of Moses is safe. The grave is secure. The secret is kept. God's protective, fatherly plan to keep his people from idolatry is successful, all because Michael, the commander of all heaven, was humble enough to not use his own power and wise enough to use God's. This story, this strange debate, tells us more about Michael's character than any of the battle scenes. It shows us why he's the great prince. It's not just because he's powerful. It's because he is trustworthy. He is not arrogant. He is not puffed up. He is not an accuser. He is a defender. He is a servant. He is a disciplined soldier who understands his mission. He's not a hothead. He's not looking for a fight. He is the calm, steady, unmovable will of God. And that's what makes him so much more terrifying to the forces of darkness. He won't engage in a shouting match. He'll just stand there in all his quiet glory. And in the face of all the accusations and all the rage, he will simply say, "The Lord rebuke thee." And the case is closed. Part 4. You've seen Michael as a warrior prince, the heavy hitter who breaks a 3-week stalemate with the Prince of Persia. We've seen him as the great protector, the Sar Gadol, the one who stands up at the very end of time to deliver his people from the worst trouble in history. And just now, we saw him in that strange, quiet, intense legal drama in a lonely valley, standing over the body of Moses. We saw his character, his profound, disciplined humility, as he faced down the accuser himself, not with his own railing judgment, but with the ultimate conversation ending. Case closed, authority of the Lord rebuke thee. It's that last story that really sets us up for this next one, because that strange debate, that was a skirmish, that was a single case, it was a preview. Now we're going to look at the main event. We're going to look at the full scale war. We're jumping all the way to the very last book of the Bible, the book of Revelation. And this book, as you probably know, is, well, it's a lot. It's not a history book like Daniel. It's not a short letter like Jude. It is a vision, a massive, swirling, cosmic, symbolic, what is happening right now vision given to the Apostle John while he was exiled on the island of Patmos. It's full of creatures and numbers and seals and trumpets. It can be very confusing, and people love to argue about what every little thing means. We're not going to do that. We're not here to get into a big, heavy, doctrinal debate. We're just here for the story. And right in the middle of this wild vision, in chapter 12, John sees something that pulls back the curtain on the whole cosmic conflict. It's the story behind the story of, well, everything. It starts like this. John is in the spirit. He's looking, and suddenly he sees a great wonder in heaven. Imagine you're floating in space, and you see something that makes you just stop. He sees a woman, but this is no ordinary woman. She is clothed with the sun. The very sun itself is her robe. She is draped in pure, blinding starlight, and the moon is under her feet. She is standing on the moon, as if it's her footstool, and upon her head, a crown of 12 stars. It's an image of incredible, majestic, celestial beauty, and it's deeply symbolic. This woman, she's not a single person. She is God's people. The crown of 12 stars is a huge clue. It points right back to the 12 tribes of Israel, the family that God chose. She is Israel, the daughter of Zion, the people from whom the Messiah, the Savior, was promised to come. And by extension, she represents the entire covenant family of God. But this beautiful, star-robed woman is not resting. The vision is intense. She is with child, crying, travailing in birth, and pained to be delivered. This is a picture of longing. This is centuries of waiting. This is all the hopes and all the suffering of God's people, all focused on this one, single, agonizing, hopeful moment, the birth, the promise that God made way back in the garden, that a seed of the woman would come. She is in labor. The time is now. It's a moment of incredible hope. And then John sees something else, and there appeared another wonder in heaven. This one is not beautiful. This one is terrifying. And behold, a great red dragon. Let's just pause on this guy. He's great. This isn't a small lizard. This is a monster of cosmic proportions. He's red, the color of blood, of rage, of fire. And then the details. He has 7 heads and 10 horns. This is just wrong. creature of chaos. The 7 heads and 10 horns are symbols you see elsewhere in prophecy, especially in Daniel, who Michael was helping. They represent a collage of all the evil, arrogant, violent empires of the world. This isn't just a monster. This is the monster. This is the big bad behind all the other big bads. And upon his heads, 7 crowns. He claims to be the king. He wears the crowns of this world's kingdoms. This is the prince of this world, the prince of the power of the air. And John sees a flashback of this dragon's history. He sees his tail drew the 3rd part of the stars of heaven and did cast them to the earth. This is it. This is the original rebellion. The stars are often used as symbols for angels. This is the moment, long before humanity, when this being, this great, beautiful, high-ranking angel, rebelled. And he was so persuasive, so full of pride, that his tail, his influence, dragged 1/3 of the entire angelic host down with him. 1/3 of the stars of heaven. He led a mutiny. And this thing, this ancient, rebellious, multi-headed, crowned monster, what is he doing in the vision? And the dragon stood before the woman, which was ready to be delivered, for to devour her child as soon as it was born. It's so vile, it's so evil. He's a predator. He's waiting. He's crouched right there, his jaws open, his eyes fixed on the woman in her agony. He's not just hopping she fails. He is actively waiting to murder her child the second it is born. Why? Because he knows who this child is. He knows this is the seed of the woman. This is the one prophesied to crush his head. His entire focus for all of human history has been to stop this birth. Think about it. He tried to stop it with Pharaoh in Egypt, drowning the Hebrew babies. He tried to stop it with wicked kings in Israel. And when the birth finally happened, he sent Herod to slaughter all the babies in Bethlehem. He was always trying to devour the child. So in the vision, the tension is unbearable. The beautiful woman screaming in labor. The horrible red dragon drooling and waiting. And she brought forth a man-child of. The birth happens. The promise is kept. And who is this child? He is the one who was to rule all nations with a rod of iron. That's a direct quote from Psalm 2. This is the King. This is the Messiah. This is Jesus. The birth happens. The dragon leaps. He tries to devour him. He throws everything he has at him. He tries to kill him as a baby. He tempts him in the wilderness. He stirs up the crowds and the rulers against him. He finally gets him, hangs him on a cross, and buries him in a tomb. He thinks he's won. He thinks he's finally devoured the child. But the vision just fast forwards right past all that. It says, and her child was caught up unto God and to his throne. The dragon failed. The cross wasn't a defeat, it was the victory. The resurrection happened, and the ascension happened. The man-child is safe. He is enthroned. He is caught up to the very throne of God, completely and forever out of the dragon's reach. the dragon loses. The central battle of history is over. The king is on his throne. Mission accomplished. So what happens now? The woman, the people of God, she fled into the wilderness, where she hath a place prepared of God. Now that the king is ascended, his people are in a time of waiting, a time of protection, a place prepared. But the dragon, oh, the dragon is furious. He failed. He lost the main event. He has been outwitted by God. And this fury, this cosmic failure, it triggers something. John's vision, which was on earth, suddenly snaps back to heaven. He's shown why the dragon is so mad. He's shown what happened the moment the man-child was caught up to God's throne. The ascension of Christ, his victory being finalized, it triggered a response in heaven. It triggered a cleansing. It was time to take out the trash. And John writes, and there was war in heaven. Just let that sink in. War in heaven, the one place that is supposed to tow peace, the one place of perfect light and perfect order. Suddenly, it's a war zone. Why? Because the dragon was still there. Satan, as we saw in the book of Job and in Zechariah, still had access to the throne room. His job as the accuser was to stand before God and accuse us. Day and night, as the text says. He was that Prince of Persia, that spiritual entity who was still in the heavenly places, resisting God's plan. He was the strange debater over Moses' body, arguing his legal cases. But now, the king, the man-child, has ascended. The blood of the Lamb has been presented. The price for all that sin has been paid. Satan's legal ground to be the accuser, it's just vanished. His cases are all dismissed. His very presence in heaven is now intolerable. He has no more standing. He has no more rights. And so the order is given. Get him out. This is not a new war. This is the final battle of the old war. The one that started when the dragon's tail drew the third part of the stars. This is the eviction. And who leads the eviction? Who is the commander, the chief prince, the Sar Gadol, who is given the charge to clean house? The text is crystal clear. Michael and his angels. Side 1 fought against the dragon, and the dragon fought and his angels. Side 2, this is it. This isn't just a war. This is the war. This is the personal, cosmic showdown between the two most powerful created princes in all of existence. On one side, the dragon, Satan, the accuser, the one whose pride said, I will be like the Most High, the one who wears the 7 crowns of rebellion. On the other side, Michael the Archangel, the great prince, the one whose very name is the battle cry of humility. Who is like God? This is the battle of the names. It's pride versus humility. It's I will be versus who is like him. It's the accuser versus the defender. And Michael is the one given the command. God doesn't do it directly. Jesus, the ascended man-child, doesn't do it. he delegates. He gives the order to his general. This is Michael's job. We saw him as the protector of Israel. We saw him as the defender of Moses' body. Now we see him as the enforcer of heaven's purity. This is his fight. Michael and his angels. This is his army. He is the named commander. He's not just helping this time, like he did with Daniel's angel. He's not just debating this time, like he did over Moses. He is leading the charge. Can you even imagine what this looked like? John doesn't give us details. He doesn't describe the weapons. This isn't a human war with steel and fire. This is a war of will, a war of authority, a war of truth. It's the ordered, glorious, light-filled legions of heaven, led by the one whose name honors God, crashing against the chaotic, dark, pride-filled rebels, led by the one who defies God. It must have been blinding. The sound must have been like thunder. Michael and his angels fought against the dragon, and the dragon fought and his angels. The dragon, he fights. He's not giving up his place easily. He's the great red dragon. He has his third of the stars. He is powerful. He is the god of this age. He is furious. He fights with all his rage, all his lies, all his accusations, all his dark, cold power. This is the great cosmic civil war. This is the strange debate from Jude, but scaled up a billionfold. This is the Prince of Persia fight, but it's not for a message. It's for heaven itself. And the result is not a long, drawn-out stalemate. The man-child is on the throne. The victory is already won. Michael is not fighting for victory. He is fighting from victory. He's not a warrior. He's an enforcer. Verse 8, and prevailed not. The dragon lost. He and his angels lost. All their power, all their rage, all their ancient pride. It wasn't enough. They lost, utterly, decisively. Michael's army, fighting with the authority of the ascended Lamb, was invincible. Neither was their place found any more in heaven. This is the part that gives me chills. It's not just they were kicked out. It's their place was found no more. Their very reason for being there, their function, their office, it was erased. It's like their names were wiped off the heavenly roster. Their keycards stopped working. Their angelic titles were stripped. The accuser lost his standing to accuse. The Prince of Persia lost his access to the court. Heaven was purged of them. The infection was cleansed. The mutiny was over. The rebellion was quashed. And what happens when you are cleansed of an infection? You eject it. Verse 9, and the great dragon was cast out. There it is, the action. He was thrown, hurled, ejected. Michael's forces cast him out. Imagine Michael, the great prince, his name, who is like God. His very being a rebuke to the dragon's pride, being the one to give the final shove. You are not like God, and you don't belong here. And just so we are absolutely clear on who this is, John gives us the whole rap sheet. And the great dragon was cast out. That old serpent, yep, that's him. The one from the Garden of Eden, the one who whispered to Eve. This whole long, terrible story of human pain, it's his fault, and he's out. Called the devil, Diabolos, the slanderer, the liar, and Satan, Satan, the accuser, the adversary, which deceiveth the whole world. That's his MO, that's his one great weapon. Lies. He convinces the whole world to believe things that are not true. This is the one Michael just threw out of heaven. And where did he go? He was cast out into the earth. Oh, that's us. Heaven's problem is now our problem. Heaven's pure, unadulterated, holy space is cleansed, and our not so pure, not so holy space is now the containment zone. He's not out there anymore. He's here, and his angels were cast out with him. He didn't come alone. He brought his whole third of the stars, his whole rebellious, demonic army. They are all here. The vision immediately cuts to the reaction to this, and it's a split-screen reaction. First, the reaction in heaven. John hears a loud voice. It's the sound of a party. It's the sound of victory. Heaven erupts in a song of celebration. Now is come salvation and strength and the kingdom of our God and the power of his Christ. Why now? For the accuser of our brethren is cast down. This is the reason for the celebration. The noise is gone. The incessant, 24/7. He's a sinner, she's a hypocrite. Look at them. They're mine. That voice, that accusing voice, that has been standing before God day and night, is silent. Michael's victory wasn't just a military one, it was a legal one. He silenced the prosecutor. The strange debate over Moses. It's over for everyone. Satan has no more legal access to the throne room to accuse any of God's children. Heaven is free from the accuser. That's why they celebrate. And the voice even says how the brethren, the saints, got this victory, and they overcame him. How? Won by the blood of the Lamb. This is the legal basis. The man-child on the throne. His payment is what legally shut Satan's mouth. Michael was the enforcer of this new reality, too, by the word of their testimony. This is the personal basis. The saints believed it. They spoke it. They lived it. They refused the dragon's lies and clung to the Lamb's truth. 3, and they loved not their lives unto the death. They were so sold out, so convinced of the victory, that the dragon's last weapon, death, had no power over them. They weren't afraid of him anymore. So heaven is having a massive party. Therefore rejoice, ye heavens, and ye that dwell in them. Party on heaven. But then comes the second half of the split screen, the reaction on earth. Woe to the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea. Well, that is not a party word. That is the opposite of a party word. Woe to us. Why? For the devil is come down unto you, having great wrath. He's not just here, he is furious. He is the ultimate sore loser. He's been humiliated. He's been fired. He's been thrown out of his place by Michael. He has been exposed as a loser, and he is livid. And there's another reason for his rage. It's not just anger, it's desperation, because he knoweth that he hath but a short time. He's a cornered animal. He's been cast down, and he knows what's coming next, the lake of fire. He knows the time of the end that Daniel saw is now ticking. The clock started the moment Michael threw him out. His time is short. So what does this furious, desperate, cornered, humiliated dragon do? He's here, he's mad. He has a short time. Verse 13. And when the dragon saw that he was cast unto the earth, he looks for someone to blame. He looks for someone to take his rage out on. He can't get to the man-child. He's on the throne. He can't get to Michael. He just lost to him. So who is left? He persecuted the woman, which brought forth the man-child. He goes after the mother. He goes after the people of God. He goes after us. This is the why. This is the reason for the time of trouble that Daniel 12 talks about. The trouble such as never was is a direct result of the dragon being cast down to earth. It's his short time of great wrath before his final end. This is why Michael, the great prince, has to stand up for the children of thy people, because his enemy, the dragon he cast out, is now waging war against them. Michael's job shifted. First, his job was to cleanse heaven. He did that. Now his job is to protect earth, or at least the remnant of the woman's seed. The rest of the vision in chapter 12 is just this: the dragon, the serpent, trying everything to destroy the woman. He cast out of his mouth water as a flood to cause her to be carried away. A flood of lies, of persecution, of false teaching, of armies, anything to drown God's people. But God protects her. The earth helped the woman. God uses everything, even the natural world, to protect his people. The dragon's plan is foiled. Again. He's getting so mad. He's wroth. He tried to wipe out the woman in one go, with a flood. It didn't work. So he changes tactics. If I can't get her all at once, I'll go after her one by one. Verse 17. And the dragon was wroth with the woman, and went to make war. With who? With the remnant of her seed, the rest of her children. And who are they? John tells us, which keep the commandments of God, and have the testimony of Jesus Christ. That is the church. That is believers. That is anyone who loves God and follows Jesus. That is us. This vision, this war in heaven, is the great unmasking. It tells us who Michael is. He is the commander. He is the enforcer. He is the one whose name and nature, humility, and service defeated the dragon, pride, and rebellion. He is the one who physically cast Satan out of the heavenly court. And it tells us our own story. It tells us why the world is the way it is. It tells us why there is spiritual struggle. It tells us why faith is a fight. Because we, you and I, are the remnant, and the dragon, who was cast down by Michael, is here. He is furious. He knows his time is short, and he has declared war on us. This is the big one. This is Michael at his most epic. The Prince of Persia was a border skirmish. The debate over Moses was a court case. This was the D-Day. This was the invasion. This was the eviction. This was Michael, Sar Gadol, the great prince cleaning house. And in doing so, he has set the stage for the final act. His next job, the one Daniel 12 talks about, protecting us, the remnant, from the wrath of the very dragon he just threw down. His job is not over. Part 5. We've been on quite a journey tonight, haven't we? We've been digging through some of the most mysterious and epic parts of the Bible, all to get a clearer picture of this one single, incredible figure, Michael. We started our journey with a tired, fasting old man named Daniel by a river in Babylon. We saw Michael introduced, not with a spotlight, but in a supporting role. He was the chief prince, the warrior who showed up to help a messenger angel who was locked in a 3-week invisible spiritual war with the Prince of Persia. He was the heavy hitter, the one who broke the stalemate so the message could get through. His first appearance was as a rescuer. Then we stayed with Daniel, but we jumped forward to the time of the end. We saw that terrifying vision of the final, arrogant king, and the time of trouble, such as never was. And right at that darkest, most hopeless moment, we got that incredible promise. At that time, Michael shall stand up. We saw his full title, the great prince, the Sar Gadol, the one who standeth for Daniel's people. He was no longer just a helper. He was the great protector, the guardian, the one whose final, decisive action would trigger the deliverance of every one that shall be found written in the book. From there, we took a sharp turn into a strange, quiet, and ancient story. A single, mysterious verse from the letter of Jude. We found ourselves in a lonely valley in Moab, standing over the secret grave of Moses. And we saw a strange debate, a dispute between Michael the Archangel and the devil. Satan, the accuser, was there to make a legal claim on Moses' body, pointing to his sin, his murder, his rebellion. And we saw Michael's character. He, the Sar Gadol, the most powerful prince in heaven, durst not bring his own railing accusation against the fallen one. He didn't argue. He didn't shout. He didn't use his own authority. He just stood, and he invoked a higher authority. He said, "The Lord rebuke thee." And the case was closed. We saw Michael as the disciplined commander, the one whose power is perfectly submitted to his king. And finally, we flew into the cosmic, swirling vision of Revelation 12. We saw the great red dragon, Satan, waiting to devour the man-child. We saw the child, the Messiah, victorious and caught up to God's throne. And we saw that this victory, this ascension, triggered the war in heaven. And we saw the commander of heaven's army. Michael and his angels fought against the dragon. We saw him as the enforcer of the king's victory. He wasn't winning the war, he was finishing it. He was executing the judgment that the the blood of the Lamb had already secured. He was the one who cast out that old serpent, who prevailed not, and whose place was found no more in heaven. He cleansed heaven of the accuser. So now what? We have these 4 distinct, powerful snapshots. What do they tell us? Who is Michael, the commander of heaven's armies? Let's try to put all the pieces together. First, and this is the most important part, let's talk about his name. In Hebrew, Michael, it's not a statement, it's a question. A rhetorical question, a battle cry. Who is like God? This name is his identity. It is his purpose. It is his weapon. In a universe where the great red dragon, the old serpent, was a being of light named Lucifer, whose pride, whose one great sin was to say in his heart, I will be like the Most High. Michael's very existence is the answer to that rebellion. Satan says, I will be like God. Michael says, who is like God? Satan is pride. Michael is humility. Satan is rebellion. Michael is loyalty. Satan is the accuser. Michael is the defender. Satan is the one who fell because he wanted to be God. Michael is the one who stands because he knows he is not. This is the key to his identity. He is the Archangel, the chief angel, the great prince. He is, in all likelihood, the most powerful and high-ranking created being in all of God's loyal creation. And his entire strength, his entire authority, comes from his perfect understanding that he is not God. This is what we saw in that strange debate over Moses. Why didn't he bring a railing accusation? Why didn't he just, smite the devil? Because that's not his job. His job isn't judge. That's God's job. His job isn't accuser. That's Satan's job, the very one he's fighting. His job is soldier, servant, defender. Michael understands jurisdiction. He understands the chain of command. He would never step outside of his given authority, because to do so would be to do the very same thing Satan did. It would be an act of pride. It would be acting like God. Michael's humility is his power. It's his ultimate weapon. Satan's only tool is pride, accusation, and lies. He has no defense against a being of pure, powerful, perfect humility, who is backed by the full authority of the king. When Michael says, "The Lord rebuke thee," he is doing something far more powerful than starting a fight. He is ending it. He's not using his power. He's tapping into all power. He's saying, "My king is the one who judges you, not me." And against that, Satan has no argument. This is why he's the commander. God doesn't give that kind of power to a hothead. He doesn't give it to someone who is arrogant or proud or trigger-happy. He gives it to the one being who has proven he can be trusted with it. He gives it to the one whose very name is a constant reminder of his place. Who is like God? No one. And certainly not me. I just serve him. So he is the humble commander. Second, we see that he is a specialist. We have other great angels mentioned. Gabriel, for instance. Gabriel's job is messaging. He's the one who comes to Daniel to explain the vision after Michael cleared the way. He's the one who comes to Mary to announce the birth of Jesus. Gabriel is the press secretary. He's the messenger. Michael is not. Michael doesn't deliver messages. He fights the Prince of Persia so the message can get through. Michael doesn't announce the time of the end. He stands up to finish it. Michael doesn't talk about the devil. He fights him over Moses' body and casts him out of heaven. Michael is the warrior. He is the general. He is the specialist for conflict. He is the one you call when the problem is a prince. He is the one you call when the problem is a dragon. He is the Sar Gadol, the great prince, which is a military and royal title. He is the commander of the armies of the Lord. This is his lane. This is his job. He is heaven's enforcer. But again, he's the enforcer of the king's will. In Revelation 12, the victory is already won. It's won by the blood of the Lamb. Jesus, the man-child, is the one who won the victory on the cross. Michael's job isn't to win it. His job is to enforce it. Jesus won the legal case. Michael is the officer who shows up to serve the eviction notice. The dragon's place is found no more. Okay, get him out. He is the strong right arm of the king's justice. Third, and this is the most personal and comforting part of his identity. He has a specific personal charge. Twice, the angel in Daniel reminds him of this. Michael, your prince. Michael, the great prince, which standeth for the children of thy people. He is not just a generic commander of goodness. He is the designated guardian of the covenant people. This is his post. This is his watch. Think of him as the head of the Secret Service detachment for the children of the book. His job is personal. He stands for them. He's the one who, when the Prince of Persia tries to block a blessing, shows up to clear the way. He's the one who, when Satan, the accuser, tries to claim the body of one of his charges, Moses, shows up to defend it. He's the one who, when the dragon is cast down and makes war on the remnant of the woman's seed, is still on the job. This is what connects all the stories. His fight with the Prince of Persia. He was standing for Daniel's people, ensuring they got their message of hope. His debate over Moses' body. He was standing for God's servant, protecting him from the accuser, and protecting the future children of Israel from a terrible idol, his war in heaven. He was standing for all the brethren by casting out the accuser of the brethren, is standing up at the end of time. He is standing for the final generation to deliver them from the dragon's final, desperate, great wrath. His entire job is us. He is the commander, but he is a commander with a mission, and we are that mission. So who is Michael the Archangel, the commander of heaven's armies? He is the perfect soldier, the one whose name, who is like God, is the ultimate expression of humble loyalty, the very antithesis of the dragon he fights. He is the great prince, the Sar Gadol, the specialist in cosmic warfare, the enforcer of the king's commands. And he is the great protector, the guardian, the sentinel who has been given a personal, specific assignment to stand for the people of God. He's not a myth. He's not just a character in a stained glass window. He is the commander of an active army in a real war. The war we are in. The war that started when the dragon, furious at being cast down by Michael, went to make war with the remnant of her seed. It's a woe to the earth kind of situation. It's a great trouble kind of situation. But the comfort, the deep, deep comfort in all of this is that the one who cast him down is the very same one whose job it is to protect us from him, the most powerful created being in the universe, is our designated bodyguard. He's the prince who stands for us. And at the end, when the last battle comes, when that final arrogant king has us cornered, Michael, our prince, will stand up, and the deliverance will begin. That's the story of Michael, the real story. He's not a co-savior. He's not someone we pray to. He's a fellow servant. He's our ally. He's our champion. He is the humble commander, the disciplined guardian. He is the great prince, and he is on the job.